Gotta get that low. Gotta get that low. Man. God, got Lenny in the house, and people are all happy. We're all looking at our blue. Whew. Y'all look like I still got it? Y'all look like I still have it? Okay, all right. All right, well, I know I'm lucky because you guys I saw those wine bottles back there, so you're going to be an easy crowd. You know, it's funny because he said I would have 10 wreaths, but thank goodness it was nowadays because, you know, they competed with no clothes on. So it would have been good to have 10 wreaths to like, but can you imagine what it was like 3,000 years ago in competing like that? I mean, being the best of the best and the worst of the worst didn't see tomorrow. So it was a lot of motivation to be the best of the best. All I did was lose a race and go back and get angry. But first of all, it's great. Isn't this an amazing place here? Let's give our hands to the house. You know, in America, a place like this would be great until tax time comes. Oh, my goodness. But, you know, one of the reasons why you or anybody is successful is because of focus. Focus. I bet you guys have never heard that word at work before, have you? Focus. And I'm going to tell you two quick stories I learned. When I was, I'm going to take you through things. I have like these cards. I don't have just a few things, you know, because I have to feel what you all are feeling like. So I know what I kind of want to say, kind of like a little bit. But I want to make sure I feel you. So I have just a few like little notes. I don't have like speeches. I don't do well like reading speeches. So another thing I'm going to do is that since I have these cards, I've signed them all. There's, how many of them are there? There are 7. And so after each one, instead of worrying about flipping them, I'm going to throw them. So now, hold on now. So after each time, I'm going to throw a card. You know, like when you go to a sporting event and they throw the T-shirts? So I'm going to throw them. When I'm finished, I'll let you know, and then who I have to go where people give me the most love, all right? I mean, okay. It's just like a job. It's not an entitlement, okay? Getting these cards is not an entitlement. All right. But what I was saying, focus. 2 things happened to me. Number one was very, very early in my career, and then another one was very, very late in my career. The first one was a time when I was 19. I just set a world record. And I went to, gosh, maybe 3 weeks before I set a world record, and I was feeling good. I was only 19 years old. It was my first world record. And so I went to the National Collegiate Championships in the United States. You know, they have college sports. And I go out, and I'm long jumping, and I go out for the first jump, and it's okay. I'm in the lead, but it wasn't a very good jump. My coach comes down to the edge of the stadium like this. Come here. And he makes some adjustments. All right. So I go down. The second jump, I go farther in the lead, but it wasn't really that good. The jump was not that good. Okay. So he calls me over this time, and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm in the lead." And he had this really funny look on his face. And I was like, wow. You know, I was in the lead. It was comfortable. I was going to win. And he said, "You know, you're not really focused and concentrating." And I said, "Well, I mean, I'm in the lead, and I've got this." And he looked at me, and he says, "Well, apparently you've got this figured out." And he turned around and he left the stadium. And so here I'm 19, so, you know, I'm just like, how dare him leave the stadium here, you know? So I went out on my next jump, and I had this huge jump. And I missed the world record by a quarter of an inch. He came dashing down the stand and said, "Okay, the next one we're going to do it." But it taught me an interesting lesson because when you stay focused and you have a job to do, and you've committed to that job, everyone you work with has to be just as committed as you. If you're not, then the whole thing goes down. So his whole thing is, we worked for it, you're not doing it, so you don't need me. I'm out of here. But the second I showed it, then he came back, and that was it. And that jump was just a quarter of an inch, 1 centimeter off the world record. So I learned a lesson very early. And then later, on the same subject, was in 1991. I was 30 years old, and I was being beaten like a drum. Can I get a drum in here? Anybody? Did you want the cards? I mean, a teammate of mine was beating me like a drum, brrr. And every single race, his name was Leroy Burrell. And I remember I got second 4 races in a row to him. And we were still very, very good friends. But one race, I wasn't running technically the way I should have. And I remember going under the stadium after that race, and I had a conversation with myself. I said, "Self, you're not doing your job. Why are you still here? What are you doing? You're 30 years old. At that time, I had, what year was that? 91. So I had 6 gold medals and won 6 gold and a silver, because I never forget the silver was the hardest one I lost. And so, well, keep it real. So I said, either you're going to figure out a way to get this done and figure it out, or you're going to retire, because you're not going to be out and not perform the best that you possibly can, because you're wasting your own time. So it's funny how years later I became my coach. Self was me, and then, I was asking me, like, you got to figure it out. Anyway, but I went through the same thing, and I challenged myself. So what I did is that after that race was over, I went to the next meet. I ran better, but it wasn't the best. So the World Championships was about 3 weeks off. So on the flight back home, we came home for a week and then went to Japan. I told my coach, I said, well, I figured it out. I'm just not doing it. So I'm not starting the way I should. Mechanically, it's wrong. So when we arrive, I want to take some extra time. You and I will go every day and spend 30 minutes before workout and work on exactly what he says. I know what your progress is, so let's work on that. And every single day, I did exactly that. Well, when I got to that meet, the first race was 100 meters. And I came up with this model that day. I said, how are you going to win this thing? If you win the heat, you win the meet. You know what that means? You win the heat, you win the meet. So heats are the qualifying, you win the meet. So my thing was to win every single round. And when I went through that competition, at the end, I won every single round, the fastest time every single round, set the world record, and was back on top again. But the point of it was that sometimes you have to work with people and figure it out, and other times you have to figure it out yourself. You have to make it happen, because sometimes someone can't help you figure out why you're the weak link or why you're not at your best. You've got to figure it out. What am I doing wrong? How do I evaluate? So that's it. And then that also means you have to have a commitment to longevity. The reason people remember me is because, first of all, when I first started running when I was 19, or actually I made my first Olympic team when I was 18, my first national team when I was 17. And don't believe that 10, 12 years ago, 10 years old stuff. I mean, it's a good speech, thank you, but that part I had problems with. I had issues with that part here now. They say in the States, don't get it twisted, okay? But the thing is that I remember people coming out